Hi, and welcome back to the Amped EV podcast. My name is David Sickles. I am the editor for The Buzz.
Hello, and I am Nadine Battah. I am the multimedia senior editor for Tomorrow's Technician. What is up, David?
Nadine!
Hello.
It's great to have you on the show today.
Thank you for having me. I am amped to be here. I had to say it, sorry.
No apology. No apology necessary. I too am amped that you are here.
Thank you for having me.
You're replacing Jason today.
Yes.
He's off. I don't know what he's doing.
Sorry, but not sorry, Jason. I am super excited to be here today, and I think we're going to have a great discussion.
And the reason you're here
Yes.
is because you are kind of the, how should I put it? Like, you are the Babcock's Technician Pro.
Yes.
That's how I'm going to put it.
I deal mainly with a lot of these up-and-coming technicians, truly. So like the students and their instructors as well. So it's been a fantastic experience learning about their experiences and like what they're going through right now, especially with how the industry's doing.
And when I think of technicians, so the first thing that comes to mind is the technician shortage that has been around since before I was born.
Several decades, absolutely. And it's still a problem right now, David, and it's still definitely a huge topic of discussion.
Well, I mean, especially today, you've got just a worker shortage in general.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then you've got a technician shortage.
Yes.
And then when it comes to EVs, I can't imagine what the shortage looks like. What are there, like 4 technicians on the planet?
I can't imagine. And of course, it comes down to, how crazy it is to work on these vehicles, how scary it can be as well. And, there are certifications involved, just with any other vehicle, but it's a little bit more intense. So I feel like that kind of makes it a little bit more scarier and has these younger people more so a little bit more hesitant maybe to kind of dive right into, the world of EVs.
I mean, I'm hesitant just to talk about EVs, so I can't imagine actually
it's a lot. There's a lot of new stuff. So, I completely get it, but there's a need for it. There's a market for this. So, I'm glad that we're able to have these conversations and, see what we can do to potentially help to get more people involved.
So before we even just start talking about EV technicians, let's just start here. Why is there a technician shortage? Can you answer this in like one sentence for us? Is this possible? Is it money?
It's not even just about the money, David, although money is definitely a huge contributor. I mean, it's money, it's the cost of school as well, and it kind of comes down to training. Not having enough training opportunities in the beginning to really understand the EVs and how they work and how you need to be able to take care of yourself to make sure you don't get hurt doing so. So I think just the fact that it's so new is scary to a lot of people.
Yeah, it's new and scary for sure.
It is.
Did COVID have anything to do with like slowing down the opportunities here?
I think so, for sure. And I think, it definitely doesn't make it easier with the fact that there's other jobs out there, like, whether it be in fast food or retail, that are paying amazing amounts now, to bring people in, where the wages for these technicians are not looking too good, David. So when you have these opportunities, say flipping burgers or, whatever, working as a line cook at $20 an hour, less strenuous things, compare it to how much strenuous labor you're going to put into being a technician. It makes it hard for these people to really look at the two different options that are being put forth in front of them and say, okay, well, this would be the career choice for me.
Sure, especially when there's all that schooling involved, like you said, and the big cost for that.
Yes. And
when it comes to EVs, obviously we know these systems that they're working on, I mean, if you cut the wrong wire, you could be dead.
Absolutely.
So, you're a lot less likely to happen when you're working in fast food or whatever it might be.
Yeah, so that definitely, that helps out a lot for sure.
So let me ask you this. You talked about certifications earlier.
Yes.
Is there anything that technicians need to be making sure that they are getting, that they're going to school for, any sort of line that they need to be following if they want to work on EVs as opposed to internal combustion engine?
Well, I can't really necessarily speak on certifications. I'm unsure myself. David, maybe you have a better idea of myself. But I think I think the biggest thing is training, and I think that makes all the difference. It's one thing that I hear from instructors. It's a hit or miss. I have some instructors that get a lot of support from dealerships, local dealerships, where they'll send out, brand new EVs to the school to have the students be able to work on them.
That's great.
So just get an idea of what they look like. Maybe they're not popping the hood essentially, but, just get an idea of what they're looking at, the technology in the interior, just to get a better idea. I think that makes the biggest difference essentially. But, definitely certifications are the number one thing. Can you speak a little bit on that and, what they may need?
No.
No clue,
no,
right?
I can't. I mean, so I've spoken with people who teach classes on this kind of thing. Certification-wise, it's so new, I feel like, that there are certain routes you can go, but specifically, I can't speak to that.
There needs to, because I know with ASE, there's ASE certifications, and that's a very well-known thing. There's got to be something for this EV world, essentially, that makes it easier and well-known for these technicians to know what exactly they need to get certified in to be able to work on these things. So I feel like that would make all but more the difference, just to have a large platform like ASE to be like, hey, these are the certifications that entry-level, technicians will need to work on EVs. And if you get these first 5, then you can work towards the next 5 and get the 10. So I think just having a structure like that would definitely be beneficial. Maybe we would start seeing more technicians a little bit more interested to dive into this world.
Well, that's interesting that you point that out, because I've got a note here about UTI, Universal Technical Institute. They partnered with NASCAR Technical Institute to roll out new curriculum for what they called its Ford FACT, Ford Accelerated Credential Training Program. And it's all about working on electric vehicles.
That's fantastic.
It's actually really cool. So it's all about, they say, high voltage systems, hybrid vehicle components in operation, battery electric vehicle components in operation, and an introduction to high voltage battery service, as well as a Ford instructor-led class on hybrid and electric vehicle operation and diagnosis. And the coolest part is that they incorporate virtual reality goggles.
Wow.
So I'm signing up.
Oh my goodness. That is really cool. And you know what? They obviously sound like they've taken a strong lead into this, and that's amazing. That's exactly what we need. We need more universities, more training programs or facilities essentially to pick up on stuff like this, because programs like that will work, and that's what these students want. They're looking for training, whether it be face-to-face or online. I can tell you they don't care. They're able to do both. They want to do both, and they're eager to learn. Give them the opportunities, and they're eager to learn and understand more about it, for sure.
I'm actually really glad you said that, because that was going to be my next question. When you're talking with these students, are they showing particular interest in EVs? Is this where they want to be, or do they want to be turning the wrenches, looking at the engine? Where do they want to be?
David, we are talking about the generation that grew up with technology, right? So they are, of course, extremely interested in being a part of this and learning, what is essentially going to take over pretty much the whole world, right? We see in the news frequently with legislators being like, by 2035, we want to be at least 50% EV, automated vehicles only. So I think stuff like that kind of really drives them, encourages them, seeing that they can be heroes essentially in the industry, being able to work on these things that are essentially going to take over everywhere you look left and right. You'll start to see these EVs. So there's definitely a large interest, and they just need more help. They need help from the dealerships, or they need help from these manufacturers that can say, hey, we're building, a website to show such and such, how to manage, this technology, or how to work on this. I think those types of things will definitely make a larger difference, and we'll start to see people actually implementing this interest. And that's what we need.
No, that's cool, especially when you start talking about that news that I had mentioned before with NASCAR and Ford. I feel like Ford is such a big name where obviously they are going just bonkers with EVs right now. And then you get NASCAR involved, which is not something you would normally associate with electric vehicles. and students seeing these types of partnerships, it might, push their interest
It definitely does drive their interest. I can say a lot of my students that I speak with are really interested in the power performance side of things. So I think like having those connections will definitely keep more people, interested and be like, wow, okay, so this is pretty cool. Like we might even see EVs in NASCAR one day, right? Like to think about that stuff, it gets them exciting. Just the open possibilities that the world of EVs is exciting to them, and they want to be a part of it. They want to be, if not like the leaders, essentially, that take over this huge shift that we're about to see here within the next decade.
Let me ask you this.
Yes.
Is it an issue if too many technicians want to go the EV route and then there just aren't enough working on the internal combustion engine? Is that a problem that people are talking about? Is this a problem at all?
Honestly, I don't even think it's going to be a problem. I feel like we have way too many. We have plenty of, service technicians that can work on typical cars. I feel like we just don't have enough EV technicians. I feel like that's the true problem. I think shop owners should definitely consider looking into having EV technicians in their shop. I don't think it's something that they should brush off necessarily, because your competitors may have those EV technicians. And when you have competitors taking away those customers from you, you're losing out because you don't have that opportunity. So it's very important for these shop owners to take that into consideration as well. If you don't have those EV technicians, I guarantee you the competitor next door definitely does. And you don't want to lose out to the competitors next door. Nobody does. Right, David?
Okay, I think you're right. But what if I live in like Nebraska? There's no EVs. There's one EV that rolls down the street. It's some rich EV guy. We don't need that guy around. No, of course we need that guy. But,
we need that guy.
But do I need to have like an EV technician on staff if I live somewhere where I own a shop and there just aren't that many EVs around?
David, I really don't know. I think it'll depend on, the shop and if they can afford it, if they can afford to have a technician, because that's another thing. I would assume so that these EV technicians are going to be paid at a higher level because they are working with higher voltages. So, there's a whole different type of scope of work, essentially. So I feel like that definitely makes it a little bit more scary. So I think, do you necessarily need to have one if you are living in a remote situation? Figure out your situation. Make it case by case. I don't know. I think I'd leave it down to the shop owners for sure.
Yeah, that's probably best.
Yeah.
Probably best.
Let's leave it up to them, David.
Technicians, you had mentioned before, obviously, they are mostly of this generation that's growing up with this kind of new age technology,
and
for lack of a better term.
Have you seen TikTok, David?
I have heard of it.
Okay.
I have heard of it. Yeah. I've been working on my dance moves
you
to
should
get involved.
All right. Let me know how that goes.
But I will.
Okay.
All
right.
Is there a particular reason that they may or may not be attracted to working on EVs beyond just like the technology component? I mean, is it like it's more dangerous?
Oh yeah, I think people are scared for their lives, David. Yeah. If they don't know what they're doing, they're scared for their lives. And can we really blame them? You're working with such high voltages. I feel like I personally would never be able to commit to something like that. But when we talk about certifications, if we get these technicians at an early start, if we get them early into these and we get them, trained and we give them plenty of opportunities to get certified, I feel like that takes away that scare. But I think definitely just the fact that how scary it is, maybe how new it is as well, makes it just a little bit more scary for them. I don't think they're necessarily waiting on, a veteran tech to, hold their hand throughout the process. I think it's just so new. They need to know that, they're going to be safe while they're working on these processes. Yeah,
most definitely. And shops that are interested in having EVs come in, it is best practice, I should say, to have a specified bay.
1,000%.
That for those EVs to come through. And you have
1000%.
special tools there and,
Right.
special signage that you're putting up when you're working
sure.
on an EV to help,
Yes,
mitigate those
yes.
danger concerns.
Yes, like plenty of signs. I mean, that I would need a
All the
sign on
signs.
every corner to make sure that I didn't even get near that area, because
yeah.
it really is scary to think about. And I commend everyone that's, taken a part of this and just wants to be involved, because it seems to be the inevitable, David. I don't think we really have any choice.
Sure.
Do you think that, do you truly believe that we're going to have this huge like EV takeover, or do you think that like we're still going to have these cars, regular cars, every single day? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I would answer that in two parts.
Okay.
I would say, the EV takeover is kind of already happening.
Yes.
You're seeing all the biggest manufacturers in the world announcing that they're going to have X electric models by 2030, 2040, and a lot of them are saying we're just going all electric by, X year or whatever. So It's happening. It is going on now. That being said, though, last year, I don't have the number off the top of my head, but I think it's something like 98% of all vehicles sold were still internal combustion engine. So
Wow.
These vehicles aren't going anywhere, and it's very important, in my eyes, to be ready for both, to have both in mind.
Right.
Especially during this transition where there's so much unknown about EVs, especially from consumers. EVs are confusing.
Yeah,
and
they are.
A lot of people aren't ready to jump into that yet.
Definitely. I can speak for myself. I just got a new car myself, and
Congratulations.
thank you so much. And, it was a discussion of topic, like, with gas prices being astronomical these days.
Absolutely, yeah.
Astronomical. Not happy with these gas prices. What is going on? But EVs were definitely a topic of discussion, but I found myself kind of being like, I don't know if I can, handle all of that.
Sure. There's a lot to learn.
And it takes, you would have to, really dive deep into just like, for me personally, research. Like I would need to research and understand like, what's the difference between each one? Like, are there differences between the batteries? Like stuff like that.
Oh my gosh, and there is.
Like,
that's the thing.
Right. So it's like, I don't even think people consider that stuff. So for me, definitely, like I was just kind of like, I don't know. So I can see where there is that hesitancy there. So like, for sure, I think that'll be a factor in which we do see that huge shift of like, no more regular cars, here's EVs. I think there's definitely still going to be a strong market for a typical vehicle.
Yeah, no question. When you bought your new car and
Yes.
you were considering
Yes.
possibly looking into EVs, did you
Yes.
think at all about maintenance? Did you think, if I get this EV, maintenance is
yeah.
going to be less expensive, more expensive? What were your
Yes.
thoughts on that?
Oh, 1000%. I was thinking maintenance for sure. And I am on TikTok. Sorry, David. I am on TikTok.
Don't apologize to me.
Okay.
I'm not anti-TikTok.
All right. I wasn't sure. I am on TikTok, and I see frequently people talking about like their Tesla breaking down and then it being in the shop for several months, just for a simple repair, or, just like a software update can take lengths at a time. So seeing those things definitely had me being like, I don't think I would be able to handle that. Because without my car, like, I think we're so used to, dropping our car at the dealership, maybe even waiting in the waiting room, having a donut or two in the waiting room,
That's
right?
the best part, really.
Right?
Yeah.
But then having your car within the next hour. Like, I don't think we're, used to just like dropping off your car and not having a car for weeks. Sure, a loaner is nice, but I want my car, like I want my car, my daily driver, to be my daily driver. So when I'm thinking maintenance, I want it to be same day maintenance. So I don't know necessarily with EVs if we're going to get that same type of beat that we get with, typical car today. Can you speak a little bit on that? Do you know, like, does it take longer to service these cars?
Honestly, it is case by case.
Case
it's
by
totally
case,
case by
right.
case, and it's also model by model. When you talk
That's
Teslas,
what makes it so tricky, right?
It does. Tesla, bar none, the market leader in EV sales, but they have their own strict maintenance programs. You
Right.
need to take it to the Tesla dealership to have that repaired properly.
Yes.
And,
Yes.
you're not necessarily seeing that level of kind of detailed scrutiny by a lot of these other, like a Ford or a GM or a
Right.
Volkswagen necessarily.
Right.
So it really does matter case by case. But a question I have for you on that
Yes.
topic,
Yes.
technicians who are repairing EVs, you'd mentioned before that maybe they get paid a little bit more for doing all of those extra things that they need to
Right.
do. Is that cost going to be then passed on to the consumer?
I think definitely consumers should start, worrying about that. I think for sure. I think if we're going to be paying, our technicians more, you're going to start seeing those, prices go up a little bit as well. It makes the most sense to me. I mean, like, we got to have the money to pay them, and
Yeah.
I think so. I think definitely have that in the back of your head that if you do get an EV, you probably will be paying a little bit more, just because these technicians are being paid more. So your service quote definitely at the end of the day will probably be a little bit more.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, at least the technician's getting a little
Yeah, the
kickback
technician needs a
there.
little bit of cheddar as well. They're keeping us on the roads, David. So I feel like they definitely deserve what they're putting in. It's a very strenuous job to have. I think it's funny. One of my instructors compared it to being a doctor, and I was like, you know what? I get that. You're repairing things. You're opening up. You're looking into the problems deeper.
I
How
like
can
that.
you solve? And I was like, absolutely. Like, truly, you guys really are like doctors. You're out here fixing things so that we can get back up and running.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's up for discussion at all. Like, they do definitely deserve more, and it's a tricky job. But yeah, you will start to see that this will kind of tumble its way into your service quotes, unfortunately.
I mean, that's what you get for being ahead of the game,
Yeah, you being a part of the
jumping on.
EV world.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yes.
So in your in your experience, are technician instructors pushing technicians toward working on EVs? Is this a common thing?
1000%. I think the instructors see that the potential that these students bring. Like I had mentioned earlier, they grew up with technology, so it's very easy for them to pick these things up and just look at it and just be like, okay, like, if we have the opportunities to work and train on these electric vehicles, absolutely they're able to, and they want to execute on this for sure. So I think the instructors, just the fact that they're also so willing to work and reach out to local dealerships, to get those cars and opportunities for their students is a huge, huge deal.
Yeah. Oh, that's enormous. I mean,
Yes.
it's a big deal for me to know that
I bet.
I can go down the street and test out an electric vehicle as a consumer. I'm not working on electric vehicles. I should make that very clear.
Thank God.
I should not be trusted.
Sorry.
I mean, it's valid.
Listen,
very valid.
I want you here. I want you here. I want you living. So
very valid. I'm not working on electric vehicles, but it's nice to have the opportunities
Absolutely.
to be around these vehicles and just
Absolutely.
explore them as needed. And the fact that these dealerships are willing to do that is
It's a huge deal. When I heard that, I was blown away. Like, they were getting this was probably back in January, and I had spoken to an instructor, I believe in Connecticut, and she had a dealership drop off like a 2022 brand new. I can't remember the manufacturer, what brand it was, but like it was 22 brand new car.
Yeah.
They just dropped it off to the school, and the students were working on it. And I was just blown away.
That's awesome.
Blown away. I think those opportunities make all the difference and will really, really push these students to like dive deep and just be really excited to be a part of this.
Right on.
Yes.
So barriers to entry here. Obviously, the danger of working on an EV is one of them.
Yes.
Is there anything else that comes to mind? Is there a reason that a technician would say, no thanks?
I feel like maybe schooling. I think if school, like again, the certifications, if that costs a lot, that'll be an issue for sure that they think about, as well as tools. I think you're gonna start using, I would assume, more electric tools as well to kind of, diagnose whatever you're working with. So I feel like the
insulated tools.
Yeah, those are very expensive already. So I think that kind of just, would definitely be a contributing factor to that, them being a little bit more hesitant. And like we said, if they're not paying the cheddar, the big bucks, I don't know, David. I don't know. So I feel like those three things are definitely like the biggest topics, like money, the cost of school, and the cost of, how much it takes to be certified, and just the fact that they're not getting paid enough to be those technicians.
For sure. All about that cheddar.
All about that cheddar. I know. Listen, in this world, you can't blame them.
You truly cannot.
Definitely not.
I think that's where government incentives, things like that can come in.
1,000%.
Where if there's some backing to getting these technicians trained for these classes, if there's some kind of kickback that they're getting for that to make these classes a little bit cheaper, open that opportunity up a little bit, that's going to be really important.
Absolutely.
Anything else from you, Nadine?
That was it for me, David. I had a lot of fun.
This was super fun.
Wasn't it?
Yeah, we'll have to kick Jason out more often. Bring it back in.
Sorry, Jason, if you're watching, but I think I killed that.
I would say so. No offense to Jason.
No offense.
Truly.
No, Jason, we love you. He does a fantastic job. Both of you guys do. So this was really exciting for me to come join in, and I hope there's other opportunities in the future, please.
We'll make it happen.
Yes.
For sure. Thank you so much.
No
really
problem.
appreciate you taking the time out of your busy day.
Absolutely. Anytime, David. Anytime.
Thank you. Thanks for watching the Amped EV podcast. We'll catch you next time.